Welcome to Raptors Today. Paul Jones alongside Sherman Hamilton. Year 27 for me and year 20 for Mr. Hamilton. When we started this, I think we both had hair. It's the first day of school. Training camp about to start. Raptors Media Day. And Sherm, it has been a terrific summer for basketball in Canada with things like Global Jam and the women in the World Cup right now, the men on the precipice of qualifying. It's been a pretty good summer for basketball.
Yeah, it's been a great summer. When you think about how much basketball has grown and now we're seeing all these different platforms for the game, it's been phenomenal and it's just going to continue to grow. But to see it in our city, to see it kind of culminate from this franchise being in Toronto, the Toronto Raptors, it's been a beautiful thing. And you know what? It's interesting because it's just going to get better.
It is. They were at Summer League. We got a chance to look at the new guys back then. But training camp starts for real on Tuesday in Victoria. But first, let's hear from the vice chairman and president of the Toronto Raptors with his opening remarks, Masai Ujiri.
I think that tour has been good for us, you know, in years past, and it's now the feeling of our team, you know, like we feel like we are Canada's team. We feel like we're a global team. So to touch all these cities, whether it's training camp in Victoria or playing in Edmonton or Montreal, want to feel, you know, like the people of Canada because we know of the support. Then it's been a couple years, you know, we've been able to do stuff like this because of obviously COVID and the restrictions, but now we get back to normal, the tradition that we've had for many years here, and we're excited about it. And I think it's important for our team and our fans to see us in different places. We play sports to win. Simple. We can have any patience we want. We can do whatever we want. You know, like we play sports to win. We compete to win. We expect to win. It doesn't matter what phase we are as a team. Are we good enough to win a championship? I don't know that we're there yet. Are we good enough to grow, to make a jump? I think so. So we expect to win. So we can, yeah, there's patience with the team and we want to grow. We know we have young players on our team and it takes time. We have different sets of styles of players on our team, and that takes time to put together, and it's a challenge to make that jump. But winning is why we play, and winning is what we want to do in the NBA here. We want to win. We've always wanted to win, and we're going to win again. I tell you what, watching these players over the summer, just seeing their eyes and how they want to compete, getting everybody back in the gym together, just seeing the organization honestly like grow is important. I think for me, as I think an organization, we go through years. We won a championship, and now you kind of get back, you get hit, we fall down. We fell down a little bit, and you start to come up again, and we want to go all the way again, you know, to get right back to where we were, and we understand the challenges. Personally, it's good to be out of this, and for me, selfishly, personally, we Giants of Africa are going to celebrate 20 years next year. I'm excited going into the 20 years and just seeing everything, the support, the organization, mid-call coming all around. It's been an incredible journey, and you know, anxious to see what the next 20 years is going to be, you know, here as a team and on the court and off the court.
I just wanted to ask about the players that are sort of fighting their way for a roster spot. What's your message to the guys who are trying to, you know, crack a new role in the NBA or even just crack the team for the first time, just the guys at the lower end of the rotation?
It's only one word: Fred VanVleet. Simple. We have him here. How did he bet against anybody? Right? You can do it. Rise from championship to all-star to leader to community leader off the court. He teaches us every single thing and how you want to learn to take it to another level. And that's what we tell these guys. Look at all our guys too, you know. They're all drafted in the 20s and have risen to where they are. And we're proud of them.
Sherm, you know, collegians and university kids play drinking games. And we'd have a lot of drunk people if they drank every time Masai Ujiri said the word win, because that's what he is about here in Toronto. He talked about winning the championship and kind of backing up a little bit, and now going forward, and I love his words. We want to win, and we expect to win.
Yeah, that's never changed. That's been a message from Masai from the jump. And even before Toronto won a championship, he talked about winning here in Toronto. He's a firm believer in it. He's going to do everything he can in his power to put this team in a position to win. And if you're playing for someone like Masai, you can't help but go out there and play hard, because, you know, everything at his disposal, he's going to utilize to put you in the best position to be successful. So I just think Masai's determined attitude and his idea of what success is permeates this whole franchise. And because he's so steadfast in that approach, everybody's got to follow suit. And I think that creates a great environment to work and to get better consistently.
Well, you know, the training camp is full, basically. You think of the roster spots, everybody's there. And Masai, you know, you heard it. He was asked about guys, you know, trying to prove themselves, and what would you tell them and what advice? And he said, I have one word. It was actually more than one word. He should have said one person. Yeah. And that's Fred VanVleet. And he talked about betting on yourself, showing yourself, and this is your opportunity.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You know, a lot of times when you're trying to really encourage young people to do things and to work hard and understand that at the end of that hard work, there's going to be a reward, you have to say it. But they have a living example who's leading this team right now in Fred VanVleet, who bet on himself and against all odds made this team as an undrafted player, G League champion, NBA champion. He's done some amazing things, signed a big deal. So Masai has that card and has that example to throw out there, and they get to go play and practice with him, and they see how hard he works. So it's one of those internal things. We've talked about it many times. This team internally is dependent on to grow every year. And a guy like Fred VanVleet, a guy like Pascal Siakam, these guys are involved in helping this team get there. And that, to me, is what Masai bets on. He bets on guys doing it, getting better, trusting each other, playing for each other, and believing that winning can happen.
Well, he talked about a lot of people, quote, making a jump, unquote. And if these guys make jumps, this team is going to be better. All right, now let's hear from head coach Nick Nurse.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to improve upon it, Doug. I think that there was a lot of positives. I'm not sure. I mean, if you want to nitpick and look at negatives, you probably say, "Oh, you have a hard time guarding all of the big, strong, big, huge centers in the league." But I didn't think that was that much of a problem, right? Love the style, love our versatility. We've even got more, I think, added. You know, adding Otto. I think Thad is almost an addition. He's got his feet under him and knows who we are, and we know who he is. He'll be, you know, almost like a new addition this year, I think. You know, Chris, Precious, OG, Pascal, Scotty. The list goes on, right? So, gotta keep finding ways to get better with it. What those are right now, we got a couple of ideas, but a couple more should be coming as we see it unfold a little bit more too. Yep. Oh yeah, Juancho too. See, it's hard. It's hard when you got so many guys that size to remember them all. Listen, I think that having some of those guys with a different set, like he to me is a still similar size guy that you can switch with defensively, right? But he's going to be one more of the guys that probably plays a little more on the perimeter spacing, right? He can catch and shoot the ball, and I'm anxious to see how he fits in. I know he had an unbelievable summer. Who had a better summer than him this summer? Well, he starred in a movie, first of all, right? That was pretty darn good, and everybody watched. And then he wins a gold medal. So I think his brother's got a little catching up to do. Right? No, just kidding. So anyway, yeah, another one, Doug. You know, and Delano, and you know, there's guys. There's some guys there mentioned. Christian adds to the mix as well. So like the looks of it, and we'll try to continue to build upon our roster and our style of play. Right? I think there's some connectivity happening here. I think that it's a good sign. I just kind of sensed, and I've already said this to you all a couple times this summer, I sensed a little bit of an urgency. I sensed some togetherness. I sensed some real intensity this summer, right? And I think those are all three really good words going into a training camp. It's good. I mean, I think, like I said, the team is shaping its identity that showed up a little bit late last year, and know who they are a little bit, and they want to expand and grow that a little bit. And they did it. It's a good summer, man. They had a lot of good work this summer for sure. We should see the results here of the summer fairly soon, right? I hope we hammer the free throws and getting to the rim more. I want to be better at that part of it, because that part it's like NFL football. You got to run a little bit. You know, you got to run the ball a little bit to open up the pass. And I think getting to the front of the rim opens up the three ball. And we certainly want our share of catch and shoot threes. So I would hope that concentrating or emphasizing that front end of our shot spectrum, free throws and rim, would kind of smooth out the overall shot spectrum a little bit.
I believe Scotty Barnes was listed as a guard as training camp approaches.
He's a point guard. I heard he's a point guard on his Instagram or whatever.
How do you intend to use Scotty as a point guard, if you do intend to use him as a point guard?
Yeah, like similar to the way we did last year. I mean, I think that there's a number of guys that can bring the ball up the floor, but I would say if we're in situations, you know, Freddie, Scotty, Pascal, you know, all those guys are good initiators of the offense, and I would say that he'll get some opportunities there. He likes it. He's a kind of an organizing pass first type of guy, and you know, like I said, he likes that position, point guard. He likes that behind his name. So we'll see if we can develop that out a little bit.
Sherm, one of the unique and very productive things about the Raptors last year was the fact that they really took positionless basketball to a new degree. There were times when you didn't know who was playing what position out there. And
the defense didn't know either.
Exactly. And Nick Nurse says, we're going to do more of that. We're going to refine it. And we've got some ways to deal with some of the guys that are more, quote, true centers. The rest of the league could be in trouble if this thing starts to work.
Well, you think about it, they implemented that. They didn't have Pascal to start the season, so other players were making decisions at times when Pascal would have done that. But now you look at it, Nick Nurse talked about it, that experience of trying stuff, the understanding of trying to be creative and figure out different ways to be successful, well, that was different. And I'm sure they took some notes and they figured out what was good, what needed work, and some things they need to leave behind. But what they do have is they have a template of what they can do to be successful this season. And the length is more experienced. They've gotten better over the summer. They've been together more, and they understand the system collectively in a higher level. And to me, with Nick Nurse coaching and his creativity, you have that length and you have that switchability on both sides of the ball. All of a sudden now, with that experience, they become, as you said, difficult to deal with.
All right, you talked about getting better, and you talked about being together, collective. And one of the people responsible for a lot of that is one of their new assistant coaches, Rico Hines. Yes. He's been doing this for years. It's just kind of come to light. He was the guy that Pascal kind of latched onto, that whole UCLA group with Rico Hines and Todd Ramsar, Pascal's agent, and Earl Watson and all of them, and the runs in LA. And now Rico Hines is part of the staff here in Toronto. That's got to help things out.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know Rico Hines, you just can Google it and check out some YouTube clips of him and see those workouts and the amount of players that come through there. not just NBA players. You know, there's players that are playing overseas. There's players that are playing in the G League. He has a myriad of players come through, and they all go there because they know, number one, it's going to be a great run. Number two, he doesn't put up with no nonsense. You're coming there to work. You're coming there to get better, and it's a collective understanding. We're all moving in the right direction. And number three, he loves the game of basketball.
Yeah.
He loves to help these young players develop, get better in whatever facet he can. And to me, when you add that to your staff, an already caring staff, a staff that's really committed to developing talent, you put Rico Hines in there, and he is at the epitome of developing talent. This squad becomes that much more better. And if you want an individual workout,
Yeah.
go see Rico Hines.
Well, it's interesting, Sherm, because the Raptors have always been known for that. When you talk about some of the other coaches around Jimmy San, the Raptor people that have done that development, now you're adding more to it in Rico Hines, and it's going to make for things definitely getting better. All right, the development is happening, and they've got some new people in the mix as well. Let's hear from the guy that most of you might know as Bo Cruz, but his real name as a Toronto Raptor is Juancho Hernangomez.
I mean, before signing here, I asked Marc Gasol, Calderon, Sergio. Sergio was a big part of the process, and I think it fits well to my game. I mean, they love to have, as you say, like 6'8", 6'9" guys to switch everything. I mean, they don't play by positions. Scottie Barnes can play point guard. Pascal can play point guard, so it doesn't matter. It's just about desire, about work hard, and I feel that angry. They won the championship back, and I feel like they're in a great team. They got scary young guys that is going to be really good, and they won it. So that's enough. I mean, it's been a great summer. I mean, first the movie. We've been working 2 years on that, and it was successfully. And then a big summer for me, playing for my national team and winning the European Champions with my brother, and see my brother to get the MVP of the tournament. It was a honor. I mean, I'm so proud of how hard he worked for that, and I'm so proud how the team worked all summer for get the tournament. It was really, really hard. I mean, nobody counted on us, and I think that's the most exciting thing when you became a champions, beating the odds, and everybody step up, and it's huge for our country. A small country playing against big-time players, big names here in the NBA, and we just deserve it, and we won it. We worked for it, and it was a great moment. See my brother to get the MVP of the tournament. It was a honor. I mean, I'm so proud of how hard he worked for that, and I'm so proud how the team worked all summer for get the tournament. It was really, really hard. I mean, nobody counted on us, and I think that's the most exciting thing when you became a champions, beating the odds, and everybody step up, and it's huge for our country. A small country playing against big-time players, big names here in the NBA, and we just deserve it. And we won it, we worked for it, and it was a great moment.
It's going to be hard for people not to go into Bo Cruz mode, but let's stay with his real name, Juancho Hernangomez. He talked about the movie and the casting and all of that, but Sherm, this kid can play, and he's going to fit the Raptors' style of play, even the body type, long, athletic, the switchability. They might have found themselves something with this kid.
And the kid can shoot it, too. I mean, this is a young man who, yes, he did a great job in the movie. I thought he was phenomenal. But we're talking about him growing as a player. And you think about when you play for your country, as both of us have been involved in situations like that, when the game's on the line, who steps forward? And he did a great job against France in the final, going 7 of 9 from the three-point line, 27 points to help his country get the job done. And to me, those are growth spurts.
Yes.
Those moments that are indicators of you're taking another step. And I thought he did a great job over the summer getting better. And he comes to Toronto, he's going to get an opportunity. As you said, he's in a system that really fits his mold of a player. And now the confidence is there, and I expect some real interesting things to happen for him.
You know, it's interesting, Sherm. We start training camp from a totally different perspective than last year. At this point last year, people were still wearing masks. Not that COVID still isn't a thing, but we're a little bit more educated on it now. Masai talked about that. Nice to see everybody in a more kind of normal setting. And when you think about what this team accomplished last year and what their starting point was last year, even as you and I witnessed playing the games at Scotiabank Arena with no fans or having to vacate the fans and all kinds of shenanigans going on. But this year, there seems to be a bit more stability from a starting point, and I think that augurs really, really well for this team and futures going forward.
Well, it should. You think about it, COVID was a stress for everybody. And the fact that that's not at the forefront of what the concerns are right now, to me, is very important. Not, as you said, not that we don't have to we forget about it, but it's not something, as you said, there's no masks, there's none of that stuff that's right in your face. And I think for players, management, fans, everybody involved, broadcasters, that is a relief. That is something that takes the stress off of it. And I think moving forward for the beginning of this season and training camp, we're going to see a much more relaxed team. We're going to see a team that now understands a lot more about who they are outside of COVID and as a group internally, because they've been able to interact differently outside of COVID. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be an interesting preseason. And I promise you, I will dress better to match up with what's happening over there.
All right, 1 in the books, and I'd like to know the exact number, but we hope there's a whole lot more before we pack this thing up all the way through and into the playoffs. First episode of Raptors Today down, but tune in, because on our next episode, you will hear from all the players at Media Day, including Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Scotty Barnes. For our cameraman, Matt Andrews, our producer, Jake LaRue, and our editor, Luke, and Sherman Hamilton, I'm Paul Jones saying thank you for watching us here on Raptors Today.